Hello and welcome to the Very Hard Questions series final, where once again we will be asking the very hardest questions on television. I often ask myself very hard questions like, why are the elderly called old people, but children are never called new people? Now, over the course of the series, the brainiest teams in the country have been battling it out in bouts of intellectual pugilism. These two teams have proven themselves smarter than any other. But now they face the very hardest questions of the series, and only one team can take home the £5,000 prize, this magnificent trophy, and the coveted crown of Very Hard Questions series champion. Welcome back, Mark, Mike, and Dom, also known as Einsteins, and their opponents, Richard, Pete, and Tessa. They are singers on buzzers. We tossed a coin backstage, and Einsteins, you will go first. Welcome back, Einsteins. Remind us why you know each other.
We know each other from the Quiz League of London, so we compete regularly on that.
So you're sort of Premier Division, but without the fitness.
These two are very much Premier Division. I'm in Division 3, which is a little bit more League One, but a little bit more where you get your grassroots quizzing and a little bit more sort of proper quizzing.
And Mark, what do you do? I mean, what are you?
I'm the chair of the Quiz League, so I'm in charge of all the quizzes across the league and maintaining their discipline and behaviour, which obviously is riotous at times.
You were second on the leaderboard, but only 1 point behind the leaders. So it's going to be a very tight tussle. Wonderful. Singers on buzzers, it's great to see you again. How does it feel to be in the final?
It's fantastic. We're delighted to be here. We know there are lots of amazing quizzes knocking about in this tournament, so it's an honour to be in the final.
Richard, there were times when you knew the answers absolutely immediately.
One or two fell in my lap, I think. It's worth saying, I enjoyed Mark saying earlier he's the chairman of the Quiz League of London, where I also quiz, describing himself as being in charge of me. So I didn't know I had a second boss on the show today, and I'm looking forward to seeing if I've learned anything from the master.
Nervous, Tessa?
Yeah, a little bit.
As you should be. That's very, very good. You usually work better if one is a little bit nervous. OK, teams, if you're ready, let's play the Very Hard Questions series final. Now, in round one, each team will answer 4 very hard questions. But to help, you have 7 clues to use across the round. Here are your clues. First letter gives you first letter of the first word of the answer. Picture clue offers up a visual cryptic clue. Extra fact gives you more information about the answer. Definition is a dictionary-style description of the answer. Add words inserts more information into the question itself. Different question shows you another question with the same answer. And related words, which are 3 words all connected to the answer. But every time a clue is used, it will cost you a point. So use them wisely. Make sure you don't end up completely clueless. Einsteins, let's take a look at your first very hard question. In 1845, Boston was rejected as the name of which US city when 2 of its early developers, who both wanted to name the new settlement after their respective hometowns, resolved the issue by tossing a coin?
Let's assume that if they want to name it after their respective hometowns, it might be a UK.
Yeah.
So New York is a possibility.
Yep.
Do you think related words could help?
I think related words could be really useful because it might say...
Shall we take that then?
Yeah.
Yes. Can we go for related words, please, John?
Related words. Willamette, Dorset, Cement.
Portland.
Portland
Cement. And Portland and Dorset.
Portland, Dorset, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. OK, we'll go for Portland, please, John.
For 3 points, let's see if Portland is the correct answer. Portland. Congratulations, Einsteins. Portland was the correct answer. Your related words were Willamette. The Willamette is a major river flowing through the city of Portland. Dorset. Portland's English namesake is in Dorset. Cement. Portland cement is a popular type of cement. Very well played, Einsteins. You've scored 3 points. Singers on buzzers, here is your first very hard question. In an April 2019 official charts company list of the best-selling albums of all time in the UK, the top 3 British-born solo acts to have albums on the list were Adele, Amy Winehouse, and which other artist?
OK.
Is it Ed Sheeran?
It,
20.
it could be Ed Sheeran.
It wasn't that long ago. Paul McCartney has sold enough. I think we need
I don't think
related words would be really
Elton John's a good shout. Cliff doesn't really sell out. Does Cliff sell albums?
Nothing more, but again, if we were of all time...
Yeah.
He's released a lot of them.
This is worth 4 points if you can get it straight off without any clues.
Should we go for related words, hoping that it's an artist we know something about?
Or something linked to one of the songs on the album.
Yeah, exactly. Please, could we have related words?
Related words. Guards, goodbye, Wellesley.
So
Was that the Duke of Wellington? I don't know what that's
it may be
supposed to
goodbye refers to Goodbye Yellow Brick Road.
Yeah.
Wellesley.
If that is
Arthur?
Arthur or Duke of Wellington.
Yeah.
Is there a
Or it's a
Duke thing in
college.
there?
This is worth 3 points.
Yeah.
I feel like we should probably get another one. Picture, maybe.
Picture it'll do something similar to related words, I imagine.
Then it becomes a fourth related word and a cryptic. Do you want to try it?
Go on then. Yes, John, please could we have a picture clue?
Picture clue.
Steel,
Sharpening.
sharpening knives.
Knives, blades. Tommy Steele. Unlikely.
Someone from Sheffield.
This is worth
That's
2
super
points.
cryptic.
That would be really cryptic.
Chef. Oh, I.
Good grief, we don't know this.
No.
What
Given that we might not know this after the next clue.
Elton did shift a lot of records.
Fine,
Shifted
so
a lot.
it seems like from the start. I'd gamble on it now rather
Let's
than
do it.
taking a clue, not knowing the answer anyway.
Then we'd like to answer Elton John.
For 2 points. Let's see if Elton John is the correct answer. Incorrect, I'm afraid. Any ideas, Einsteins? You don't get any points, but you get a bit of kudos.
James Blunt, I think.
Oh, James.
That is the correct answer. Your related words, guards, Blunt served in the Life Guards whilst in the military. Goodbye, Goodbye My Lover was the title of one of his top 10 hits. Wellesley, he's married to Sophia Wellesley, descendant of Arthur Wellesley, the Duke of Wellington. And we saw a picture of a chef sharpening a blunt knife.
Yeah.
Bad luck, singers on buzzers, and scores you no points. Einsteins, let's have a look at your second very hard question. A limited edition 50-pence coin with the Latin inscription Casius Praestans was issued by the Royal Mint to celebrate an anniversary of which duo?
I wish I knew Latin.
Any ideas?
I don't have it. Cassius is close to casus, as in casus belli, the case for war, but I presume with an E it takes a different meaning. Crick and Watson could be the kind of duo.
Yeah.
Well, I've just a different question.
Different
Yeah.
question.
Worth 4 points. You can go for a clue, but it'll cost you a point.
I don't think we're confident by any means. I think we'll go for a different question, please, John.
Different question. When the original actor retired in 2010, Ben Whitehead became the main voice performer playing one half of which animated pair?
Wallace and Gromit?
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
real possibility.
That's what I thought.
I think we should go for it.
Give it a go.
Can we go for Wallace and Gromit, please, John?
For 3 points, let's see if Wallace and Gromit is the correct answer. Wallace and Gromit it is. Casius Praestans translates as cracking cheese.
Of course.
The coin was made in 2019, 30 years after Wallace and Gromit first appeared in A Grand Day Out. Congratulations, and you score 3 points. Singers on buzzers, let's have a look at your second very hard question. Whose middle finger is on display at a museum in Florence under inventory number 2432?
Is it going to be what? De Medici or?
It could be an artist or
who-
patron, I'd assume, maybe.
Yeah.
Or an explorer.
Or is it a relic?
Oh yeah.
Michelangelo was...
I mean, clearly we're going to need another clue.
Yeah, absolutely.
Actually, a different question.
Different question feels like it
Yeah, this
Would
could be
really
different
help.
question time.
Yeah.
Okay.
worked by the artist.
Could we have a different question, please, John?
Different question. Pisa International Airport is named after whom?
Galileo.
Who is
No, Marco Polo. Marco Polo is
Oh, it's Venice.
Venice. Pisa is Galileo. It's the
Wait, which
dropping
one's
stuff
Da
off the
Vinci?
tower.
Right.
Yes?
Thing. I'm almost certain that's right.
You sure?
Right.
Yes.
Then we think the answer is Galileo.
For 3 points, let's see if Galileo is the correct answer. Yes. Galileo. That is the correct answer. The finger was detached from the body in 1737 when Galileo's remains were moved from his original grave to a monumental tomb. Congratulations, you score 3 points. We are at the halfway point of round one. Some impressive early scoring sees Einsteins in the lead with 6 points And singers on buzzers only just behind on 3 points. Join me after the break for more very hard questions. Welcome back to the Very Hard Questions series final, where both our teams are battling it out for a £5,000 prize and the Champions Trophy. Einsteins, let's have a look at your third very hard question. Who gave a lecture on phenomenological aspects of the critical paranoic method in Paris in 1955, having driven there in a car filled with 500 kilograms of cauliflowers?
No, I have no thought whatsoever.
Okay, I mean,
Is it a Frenchman?
Yeah, we're looking at quirky characters
I'm
from
not
that
sure.
time. Salvador Dali's a sort of guide stick.
Do we think a definition would help?
The first thought I had was Sartre.
But why
and
would he
then
do? I don't think he's absurdist.
Well, it's 4 points now, but you go down to 3 points if you want to take a clue.
I think a definition could be quite helpful.
Yeah.
Good
Okay.
go.
Can we go for definition, please, John?
Definition. Multidisciplined artist, born in Figueres on May the 11th, 1904.
Absolutely.
Okay.
100%.
Dali.
100%, yeah.
That's Salvador Dali.
For 3 points, let's see if Salvador Dali is the correct answer. Salvador Dali. Dali said he was attracted to the logarithmic curve of cauliflowers he'd driven from Spain in a Rolls-Royce Phantom II. But what a stench. Congratulations, it scores you 3 points. Singers on buzzers, let's have a look at your third very hard question. It is thought that 1816 is nicknamed the year without a summer, primarily because of a volcanic winter caused by the eruption of a volcano in which country?
Where's Krakatoa? Because we're looking for a country.
Indonesia?
Indonesia.
Famously not east of Java,
No.
but
Yeah.
it's somewhere in...
Sure.
It's
It's got to be a big enough one to impact the world. Maybe a definition?
Definition's better, because again, the other place that
It's worth 4 points, goes down to 3 points if you want to take a clue.
Should we go for definition, hoping that it's a fact about a country that we...
Yes.
No. OK. Can we have definition, please, John?
Definition. Archipelago nation spanning a distance over 1/8 the circumference of the Earth.
Well, that does sound like Indonesia.
that sounds quite Indonesian.
I think we should just go with the answer.
All right.
All right.
OK. We're going to say Indonesia.
For 3 points, let's see if Indonesia is the correct answer. Indonesia gamble succeeded. The Mount Tambora eruption is believed to be the most powerful volcanic eruption in recorded history, and it scores you 3 points. Einsteins, let's have a look at your final, very hard question in this round. At the age of 32, which driver won their first Formula One Grand Prix on their 130th attempt?
Interesting.
My first thought here is Rubens Barrichello, because I think he went for a long time without winning one.
Okay. Jensen Button also did.
My only other thought was Patrese.
Picture clue could be helpful, couldn't it?
This is worth 4 points.
Let's try picture clue. then.
Let's, can we go for picture clue, please, John?
Picture clue.
Is it a military canteen?
Uh,
Is it redolent of Rubens Barrichello, that picture? thought
it's
so.
not redolent of anything for me.
Is that
I mean, a button?
This is worth 3 points.
Yeah.
I really don't
I
know.
don't think so.
Another clue will take you down to 2 points.
I mean, AdWords might give nationality. That'd be really
It
useful.
might, yeah. I think that might
Yeah.
be our best gamble.
Okay. Can we go for AdWords, please?
AdWords. At the age of 32, which driver won their first Formula One Grand Prix in 2009 on their 130th attempt?
2009 lines up with winning
2009
one.
is not too late for Barrichello.
Oh, one more
though,
suggestion
is
is Felipe Massa.
I think
It could be Felipe
it's
Massa.
better to take.
Yeah,
the
we'll have
last
to do
clue,
first letter.
Get first letter.
I think
make
first
sure,
letter.
and get a point to
Yeah.
make sure.
Can we take first letter, please?
First letter. M.
Thank God. Okay, well, we should be able to get this.
2009.
First name, so what else is there? I mean, Mika Hakkinen is the only one I can think of.
We'll have to go.
I think it has to be.
We'll have to go for Mika Hakkinen.
For 1 point, let's see if Mika Hakkinen is the correct answer. It's incorrect, I'm afraid. The correct answer is Mark Webber.
Weber.
The harness with pouches shown in the picture is known as military webbing. Webber. Bad luck. You score no points. Singers on buzzers, let's have a look at your final, very hard question in this round. The short story Mrs. Begum's Son and the Private Tutor was an early published work written by which author?
OK.
Salman Rushdie?
Could be Salman Rushdie. That's a good
It's got
shout.
that kind of name, and Begum.
Yes, that's
The
right.
right kind of area, I think.
Ooh,
I like that's a nice shout.
extra fact.
Fact might be helpful. OK. John, please can we have an extra fact?
Extra fact.
Thank you.
This writer won the Whitbread First Novel Award in 2000.
It's not.
When did White Teeth come out?
Yeah, it is White Teeth, isn't it?
Is that 20 years ago? She's had a lot of books since then. If we get a first letter, that would...
That should.
that would... Yeah.
First letter.
I think we're going to need another clue, please, John. Can we have a first letter?
First letter. Z.
It's, OK,
it's
that's
only
fine. Yeah, well, that's fine. I think it's Sadie Smith.
For 2 points, let's see if Zadie Smith is correct. Zadie Smith, well done. The story was published in the Maze Anthology, which publishes stories by students of Oxford and Cambridge, where Smith was a student. Smith won the Whitbread Award for White Teeth. Congratulations, singers on the buzzers. It scores you 2 points. After round 1 of the Very Hard Questions series final, the competition is fierce and the scores are tight. Einsteins are in the lead on 9 points, and singers on buzzers are just 1 point behind with 8. With loads of points still on offer in round 2, anything can happen. After the break. Welcome back to the Very Hard Questions series final, where our teams are playing for that £5,000 and the Very Hard Questions Champions Trophy. Let's get straight on with round 2. Now, in this round, you will tackle your own board of 3 questions, but now you have to choose in which order to answer them. Remember, answer a question incorrectly, and your round is instantly over, and any points scored in the round will be lost. You now only have 5 clues to use across all 3 questions, and remember, the more clues you use, the more points you lose. Let's have a look at your clues. Different question and extra fact, both of which you've already seen. Multiple choice, you'll see 4 possible answer options, but only 1 is correct. Audio clue, you'll be played an oral hint to the answer. And redacted text, you'll see a sentence containing the answer, but the key information has been censored. Einsteins, here is your board of 3 questions. In April 2007, a Guinness World Record was set in Trafalgar Square in London for the largest ensemble of people playing what as instruments? Question 2, a main character in the original 1996 series of which long-running TV show was based on a real person named Professor Whitwell? Question 3, who wrote the 1781 essay known by the title Fart Proudly, jokingly proposing that scientific academies should study flatulence and develop a drug to make farts smell like perfume? So which question are you going to take first?
We'll go for number 2, please, John.
Number 2, a main character in the original 1996 series of which long-running TV show was based on a real person named Professor Whitwell?
And you think redacted text
Yeah,
first
sure,
or
by all
multiple
means.
choice?
I think multiple choice will. It might not solve all of our problems. If we might need to use 2 clues then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Can we take redacted text, please, John?
Redacted text. If you like your cops British, your stories procedural, and your investigations gory and explicit, blank is your next great TV undertaking. Margaret Lyons.
Cracker.
My first thought.
Oh yeah,
was-
Cracker. Professor Whitwell could be.
My first thought was Silent Witness,
That was too early for that, wasn't it? That was
and it's
early,
also
man.
not particularly cop.
Need I remind you that an incorrect answer in this round, and it's curtains.
OK, let's take multiple choice, please, John.
Multiple choice. Law and Order, Cracker, Silent Witness, A Touch of Frost.
That's horrible.
Definitely not Law and Order.
Although,
Definitely not Touch of Frost.
It's worth 2 points.
It's between the 2 we said.
yeah,
I'm.
I think the description of bloody procedural for me is more Cracker than Silent Witness. I thought Silent Witness was a bit gentle.
Then again,
Is
it's...
it not?
If we don't get it, we get no points.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Okay.
An incorrect answer now, and your round is over.
I think we have to pass it.
Yeah, OK, we'll pass it, please, John.
You've decided to pass. Now that the pressure's off, would you like to take a guess anyway?
Cracker.
Cracker.
Silent witness. Just as well, old chap. Well, that was a close one. That was a close one. The fictitious Sam Ryan is likely to have been based on forensic pathologist Professor Helen Whitwell. What are you going to tackle next? Which
Can we
question?
go for question 3, please?
Question 3. Who wrote the 1781 essay known by the title Fart Proudly, jokingly proposing that scientific academies should study flatulence and develop a drug to make farts smell like perfume?
So we want to take different
I
questions.
think
we
so.
have to,
I
yeah.
really hope that will
Yeah.
give us something more concrete.
Can we take different question, please?
Different question. Which polymath is credited with the invention of bifocal glasses, a stove design, and the glass harmonica?
Yeah, that's Benjamin Franklin.
If it's incorrect, your round is over. OK, for 3 points, let's see if Benjamin Franklin is the correct answer. Benjamin Franklin. The essay was a satirical criticism of scientific societies in Europe, which he believed were becoming increasingly pretentious and focused on pointless and impractical studies. The essay is also referred to by the title To the Royal Academy of Farting. Congratulations, it scores you 3 points. Let's take a look at your final question. Question 1. In April 2007, a Guinness World Record was set in Trafalgar Square in London for the largest ensemble of people playing what as instruments?
Possibilities then. Ukuleles, harmonicas, I suppose. Guitars.
Yeah.
Well, it's an audio clue is
I think we
obviously
have to
what
take
this
an
was
audio
designed.
clue, don't we?
Yeah. Let's take audio clue, please, John.
Audio clue.
In Saint-Tropez, she had a ball or two, and I'm telling it to you straight, so you don't have to hear it in another way.
I can't remember who did that.
What is it called?
I cannot remember.
Well, I mean, it's extra fact, and if you don't know it, we simply...
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the end of it.
Yeah.
I think that's what.
We'll have
Worth 3
to,
points.
we'll have to take extra fact, please, John.
Extra fact. Its name is partly derived from a mid-16th century Spanish and Portuguese word meaning mask or grinning face.
We're about maracas.
It's worth 2 points.
I don't know if it's worth going for.
No. OK, we're going to have to pass.
You're going to pass. OK. Any ideas now the pressure is off you?
I guess. Yes. Try castanets.
Coconuts.
Nope.
Close, but wrong. The event was organised by the West End production of Spamalot. Nearly 6,000 people used coconuts to play the tune of Monty Python's Always Look on the Bright Side of Life. The song played was Annie, I'm Not Your Daddy by Kid Creole and the Coconuts. It reached number 2 in 1982. Einsteins, you scored 3 points out of a possible 12. OK, singers on buzzers, here is your board of 3 questions. Question 1. The term kiss and cry was coined by the Finnish official Jane Urko in relation to which sport? Question 2. The plot of which film is adapted from a 1968 book but takes its title from a 1974 novel by Alan E. Nourse? And question 3. In 2008, visiting soldiers from which country awarded a knighthood to a penguin at Edinburgh Zoo?
Should we go for number 2 and...
2 and start with.
Which one would you like to
So
choose?
we'd like to go with question number 2, please, John.
Question number 2. The plot of which film is adapted from a 1968 book but takes its title from a 1974 novel by Alan E. Nourse?
Is Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep the title of the book or the title of the story?
What do you mean?
Isn't it,
it's
isn't it
a,
a story?
no, it's a book.
OK,
Well,
fine.
look,
Yeah, it's
if you want to,
Right then, so should we...
question, fact, or redacted text, I think.
you don't want multiple choice yet.
Well,
I think
no.
we can say multiple
I,
choice.
yeah, I would say that's...
Maybe extra fact then.
This is worth 4 points.
Should we try?
Yeah.
Should we try an extra fact? John, can we have an extra fact, please?
Extra fact. The film was inspired by work written by Philip K. Dick.
Are we happy with? I mean, because it's not the only.
Yes. No. There's lots. But the ones that haven't changed their name, we can recall it for you wholesale. What's that?
It's total.
Let me warn you now that an incorrect answer and your round will be over.
I don't think multiple choice will help with the other 2, but this is the point where,
You think?
as long as it
choices
isn't
to have a look?
2 different
Philip
K.
K.
Dick.
Well, yeah, but why wouldn't it be?
Well,
I mean, if we get multiple choice and it has Total Recall and Blade Runner,
then we're in a sticky
then we've
spot.
wasted a point and a clue.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Another clue will take you down to 2 points.
Yeah.
Okay, redacted.
Redacted text as
Yeah.
a happy compromise.
All right.
A grumpy compromise.
Yeah.
Can we please have a redacted text clue, please?
Redacted text. The set for blank was maybe the hardest set I've ever worked on because I think we worked 50 nights in a row and it was always raining. Harrison Ford.
Yep, fine.
So we think it's Blade Runner.
OK, for 2 points, let's see if Blade Runner is the correct answer. Blade Runner. Well done, well done.
Good work, everyone.
The film Blade Runner takes its plot from the Philip K. Dick book, Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep? Something you mentioned right at the very beginning, too. And only takes its title from the Alan E. Nourse novel, The Blade Runner. Screenwriter Hampton Fancher simply liked the title, so borrowed it when he was writing the screenplay for the film. Congratulations, singers on buzzers. It scores you 2 points. Which question would you like to tackle next?
Can we have question number 3?
Question 3. In 2008, visiting soldiers from which country awarded a knighthood to a penguin at Edinburgh Zoo?
OK. Then we're going to go different question.
Yeah.
Hit it straight up.
OK.
Please, can we have the different question?
Different question. Since the first event in 1924, which country has won the highest number of Winter Olympic medals overall?
It's Norway.
It is. Yeah, it is, isn't it?
Positive.
Yeah.
OK.
Yes.
It's Norway.
Let me remind you of the stakes. An incorrect answer now, and you lose all the points you've won in this round so far. OK, for 3 points, let's see if Norway is the correct answer. Norway. Well done. Well done. A representative of the Norwegian King's Guard became interested in the penguin colony and arranged for the regiment to adopt a penguin in the 1970s. He moved up the ranks, and the current penguin is the third to be honoured by them.
Great.
Congratulations, and it scores you 3 points. Here's your final question. Question 1. The term kiss and cry was coined by the Finnish official Jane Urko in relation to which sport?
OK.
I think we take both clues regardless.
Yes. Yeah, but...
And we start with multiple choice because if the audio one's cryptic,
The audio
it gives the thing to aim. Well, it also gives us a thing to hang on to if we can't get into the crypticity.
Yeah, I think that's sensible. Crypticity. Done a lot.
Yeah, do it.
OK. Please, could we have the multiple choice, John?
Multiple choice. Synchronised swimming, fencing, curling, figure skating.
I originally thought figure skating. I assumed the kiss and cry was to do,
Acting Eve.
yeah, acting and figure skating. I still think we should take the audio clue.
Yeah,
Oh, 100%.
I hope it's...
This is worth 3 points. Another clue takes you down to 2.
I think we'd like to have the last clue, please, John.
Audio clue.
Yes, please.
You never take it.
Nice.
Well, that takes it down to curling and
I don't know.
curling
Can
and
we
figure
risk
skating.
it?
I think it's figure skating, but
I think we should pass. We don't know. We're in
Has
the
that lit your bonfire?
well, kind of. So we'd already whittled the 4 multiple choice options down to 3, and I think that's whittled it down to 2. Mm-hmm. So we're still
I think
torn.
we should pass.
What do you think, Rich?
We're in the lead.
No, I absolutely think we should pass. I think it's curling, but
OK, then we should definitely pass.
definitely
because
pass.
I think the opposite of you.
You've scored 5 points in this round so far.
I think-
Get the answer wrong and you're up the Khyber without a paddle.
Exactly. In that case, we are going to be happy with what we've got and quietly retire. We're going to pass on the last question.
You've decided to pass on that question. Any idea of the answer, what it might have been now that the pressure is off?
Well, I think it's figure skating, but my team think it is curling.
The answer is figure skating.
Well, it's fine. It's fine.
The kiss and cry is the area next to the rink where the competitors sit after their performance and wait for their scores and often kiss or cry or both. The song played was Cold as Ice by Foreigner from 1978. Singers on buzzers, you scored 5 points out of a possible 12. After 2 rounds of the Very Hard Questions series final, Einsteins have 12 points, but Singers on buzzers have now taken the lead and are on 13 points. Has the momentum swung? Join me after the break to find out. Welcome back to the Very Hard Questions series final, where our teams are playing for that £5,000 prize and the championship trophy. In round 3, Each team will face 5 very hard questions, but now every one of them will be against the clock. Give a wrong answer or run out of time, and you score nothing. If everyone is ready, let's play round 3. Einsteins, here's your first very hard question against the clock. Which author says in one of their works that they received an end-of-term report for English composition stating, "I have never met a boy who so persistently writes the exact opposite of what he means"?
No, different question, maybe?
Yeah.
Different question, please.
Different question. In the early 1960s, which writer co-invented a valve used to help to treat hydrocephalus in young children?
I think it's Roald Dahl.
Do you think it is?
So he was an inventor. One of his young children had a problem, and when I first saw that, I think it's worth going for.
Okay. Roald Dahl, please, John.
For 3 points, is Roald Dahl the correct answer? Roald Dahl. Well done. That was the correct answer, and it scored you 3 points. Singers on buzzers, here's your first very hard question against the clock. What food was the subject of a 1993 NASA research paper in which it was described as the single food that came as close as any other to supplying all the essential life-sustaining nutrients and went on to be used on long-term space missions?
Goodness me, I'm not sure. I want it to be ice cream, but shall we take a...
Grief.
What do you think?
Related words or picture clue?
Related words?
Yeah, go. Anyway.
Can we have related words, please?
Related words. Goosefoot, Andes, amino.
Okay, amino acids.
Amino acids.
Something protein.
And these are obviously mountains and stuff.
Is it
Yeah,
human
I-
flesh?
I picture
That
clue.
plain question.
Yeah, go picture clue. Go picture clue.
Can we have the picture clue, please, John?
Picture clue.
Yes, please. Those are foxgloves.
Are they?
Or are
What's
they...
that?
Quinoa.
Similar. First letter,
Oh,
quick.
wait, quinoa's South American, isn't it?
First letter. First letter.
Can we have the first letter, please, John?
First letter, Q.
Yeah, go.
Quinoa.
For 1 point, is quinoa the correct answer? Quinoa. Quinoa comes from a plant in the goosefoot family. Andes, it is widely cultivated in the Andes. Amino, quinoa contains large quantities of the essential amino acids. And it scored you 1 point. Einsteins, here's your second very hard question against the clock. Which figure in Greek mythology was killed while sleeping by the many-eyed giant Argus, servant of Hera?
Different question again?
Yeah, different question.
Yeah,
Or
I'm not
first
sure.
letter?
I'm simply not sure. First letter went out right now.
Okay,
No.
different question.
Different question, please.
Different question. Which monotreme native to Australia and New Guinea is also known as a spiny anteater?
Echidna.
We'll go for echidna, please.
For 3 points, is echidna the correct answer? Wow, that was something. The mythological echidna was described as half beautiful woman, half voracious snake. She's also known as the mother of all monsters. And it scored you 3 points. Singers on buzzers, here's your second very hard question against the clock. Which actor played a character called Homer Simpson in a 1975 John Schlesinger film over a decade before the first episode of The Simpsons was broadcast?
John Cassavetes?
Should we try a different question?
Yeah, definitely. Oh, yeah, try.
Can we have a different question, please, John?
Different question. Which actor playing Reverend Clayton appears alongside his son in the 2015 film Forsaken?
Not seen Forsaken. Have you seen Forsaken?
Dennis.
I don't know why the Homer Simpson one isn't ringing a bell because, well, it is. But
We're going to have to take another
Yeah,
clue.
take another one.
Can we have a definition, please?
Definition. Character actor born in New Brunswick, Canada in 1935 who was given an Oscar when he received the Academy's 2017 Honorary Award.
It's not Christopher Plummer.
85 now. Could be.
That's my best guess.
Yeah, should we go for it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Christopher Plummer.
For 2 points, is Christopher Plummer the correct answer? Ooh, it's incorrect. The answer is Donald Sutherland. The Simpsons creator Matt Groening has said he named the cartoon character after the character in the Nathaniel West novel, which inspired the film The Day of the Locust, in part because his own father is called Homer. Bad luck. That scores you no points. Einsteins, this is your third very hard question against the clock. It is said that Sandringham time, half an hour ahead of Greenwich Mean Time, was introduced to the estate by which future monarch when heir apparent to make the most of daylight for outdoor pursuits?
An heir apparent.
Different question's been working quite well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's try that.
Have it again, yeah.
Different question, please, John.
Different question. The 1896 Epsom Derby winner, Persimmon, was owned by which future monarch?
Edward VII or George V?
Yeah, extra fact.
Extra fact, please.
Extra fact. In 1870, this person gave evidence in court denying having had an affair with Lady Mordaunt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Because he was 1870, George V.
And
probably wouldn't have been older.
he had more affairs, didn't he?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
Yeah, go for Edward VII.
We'll go for Edward VII, please, John.
For 2 points, is Edward VII the correct answer? It is. All the clocks on the estate were set 30 minutes ahead of GMT. This was the official time on the estate between 1901 and 1936. It was also adopted at Windsor Castle and Balmoral, and it scored you 2 points. Singers on buzzers, here's your third very hard question against the clock. Which artwork, part of a UNESCO World Heritage Site that was inscribed in 1980, was damaged during building renovations around 150 years after it was created?
OK, I don't really know that. Does anyone have any thoughts?
Building renovation. Get some.
Should we get a definition on extra fact?
Any of them.
Can we have a definition, please, John?
Definition. 15th century fresco by Leonardo da Vinci located in the refectory of a church in Milan.
OK,
Last Supper.
Is that where the Last Supper is?
could be.
Yeah.
I
I
think
mean,
that's gamble.
that's what I'd have thought.
We're talking about it's the damage. It's the picture of Christ that got damaged. Surely.
Oh.
There was renovations done to what's it called?
What do you want to say then? Do you want to say extra?
Oh, quick, get another.
What's it called though? Can we have an extra fact, please, John?
I'm thinking.
Extra fact. Artists including Peter Paul Rubens and Paolo Veronese have created artworks depicting the same scene.
Is it the Last Supper?
For 2 points, is the Last Supper the correct answer? Last Supper. Jesus' feet were cut off the painting in 1652 when monks cut a doorway into the wall it's painted on, and we can look at a photo which shows that doorway now. You don't really notice, actually. I mean, but once you're told about it, you can see the problem. Einsteins, here's your fourth very hard question against the clock. Which official International Bartenders Association cocktail consists simply of cognac and amaretto?
Any ideas?
no, we need something different question again.
Different question, please, John.
Different question. A 1971 thriller film directed by William Friedkin is called The What?
It could be the French Connection.
I think it's French Connection.
I think that's
It was
71 film.
1971, and it was William Friedkin.
It is a William Friedkin.
Should we go for it?
Okay.
I've never heard of the cocktail. But
No, I have. What do you want first letter? I've never heard that cocktail.
No, I've
Oh,
never
it would be a
heard of
T, won't it? So that's
Yeah.
no good.
Yeah.
Oh no, it will be an F because it's the cocktail they want and not the film. So should we try
Yeah,
to get it?
okay. First letter, please, John.
First letter,
Yeah.
F.
French Connection.
For 2 points, is French Connection correct? French Connection. You could have gone for that. That point may be absolutely critical.
We just
We'd
haven't
never heard
of
of the cocktail, so we
I see,
had to
I
make
see.
sure.
Well, it scored you 2 points. Singers on buzzers, here's your fourth very hard question against the clock. On the same day in 2017, the married couple Noor El Tayeb and Ali Farag each won their respective singles title in a major tournament in which sport?
I'm not sure. What's happening in 2017? Should we let's immediately get
That seems squash.
extra fact related words?
Squashy or.
So let's go for
maybe
extra
badminton,
fact.
that's
Can we have an extra fact, please, John?
Extra fact. The game is played with a hollow ball.
Squash, doesn't it?
Is the ball hollow?
Yes, yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
I mean,
no idea.
They seem.
Let's
I
squash
don't
it.
think it's a gamble. Go for it. Yeah, go.
Squash.
For 3 points, is squash the correct answer? Squash. Congratulations, singers on buzzers. The couple won their respective US Open titles, and it is thought to be the first time in any sport that a married couple each won a major singles title on the same day. And it scored you 3 points. Einsteins, here's your final very hard question against the clock. Following a revival of their work in the 1970s, including a full production of their opera Treemonisha, which composer received a special Pulitzer Prize in 1976 for their contribution to music.
Do you think you'll know this from
No. Extra factor definition. Definition, maybe?
definition? Yeah.
Definition, please, John.
Definition: ragtime musician who performed at the Maple Leaf Club in Sedalia, Missouri.
Scott Joplin is I think based on what we discussed, should we go for Scott Joplin?
Yeah.
I think it's
Yeah.
correct.
Okay.
We'll go for Scott Joplin, please, John.
For 3 points, is Scott Joplin the correct answer? It is. Congratulations, Einstein. Ragtime experienced a revival after The Entertainer by Scott Joplin was used in the score of the 1973 film The Sting, and it scored you 3 points. Singers on buzzers, here's your final very hard question against the clock. In 2016, author Amy Tan had a newly discovered species of which animal named after her?
I assume it's a swan because of white swans.
Okay.
But
No, that was Jung Chang. Amy Tan was the Joy Luck Club.
oh gosh.
Tiger.
Okay, in that case, what do we want?
do you want?
Do we want extra factor definition? Can we have a definition?
Yeah, go.
Definition.
Can we have a definition, please?
Definition: a hanger-on who seeks to gain from or sponges on others.
A leech.
Leech. Could be a leech.
Some kind of
Can we have an extra fact, please, John?
Extra fact: these animals secrete an anticoagulant called hirudin.
It's a leech, right? Leech.
For 2 points, is leech the correct answer? Leech. Congratulations. The leech was named after the author Amy Tan by the American Museum of Natural History because she mentions jungle leeches many times in her novel Saving Fish from Drowning. And it scored you 2 points. That's the end of round 3, and the momentum has shifted back again to Einsteins, who have now taken the lead with 25 points. But hanging on in there are Singers on Buzzers with 21 points. So, teams, it's all come down to this very hardest question, hasn't it?
Yes.
Yes.
And it's quite incredible. I mean, you couldn't have written this. Either of you could win. I am exceptionally excited. Let's play the very hardest question. Now, you'll play on the buzzer against each other, and only one team can walk away with the points. I will reveal a question. If you think you know the answer, buzz in, answer correctly, and win yourself 8 points. I'll continue revealing clues until someone answers the question correctly. But the points on offer will reduce each time a clue is revealed. Answer incorrectly, and your team will be locked out for the remainder of the clues. Fingers on buzzers, here is the very hardest question. Who received a record 12 consecutive nominations for the Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Lead Actress in a Drama Series category for the same role? Can anyone answer for 8 points? First up is add words. Same role in a crime series.
We're assuming it's American TV, by the way.
Can anyone answer for 7 points? Your next clue is a picture. Pete.
It's Angela Lansbury.
For 6 points, and to take the title of Very Hard Questions Series Champions, is Angela Lansbury the correct answer? It's the correct answer. It scores you 6 points after 4 rounds of incredible competition. Here are the final scores. In second place with 25 points, it's Einsteins. But with 27 points, today's winners and the Very Hard Question Series champions are Singers on Buzzers. This is yours. It weighs a ton. £5,000 is yours. How does it feel?
It feels amazing. I mean, it felt like we were lost. We were 4 points off the pace, and they're amazing. So I really wasn't expecting to win.
And by the same token, Mike, you must have thought, hey, we're cooking. We're going to have it.
Not at all. Not at all. I knew that they were a great team. They're a fantastic team of quizzes, and anything could come up in that last question. So yeah.
Well, nobody could ever have constructed what happened. It was a total swing from one to the other, and you've come out on top. It's been a fantastic privilege. Many, many congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. In the 1991 Disney animated film Beauty and the Beast, Angela Lansbury voiced Mrs. Potts, who had been turned into a teapot. She was nominated for her role as Jessica Fletcher in Murder, She Wrote. Between 1985 and 1996, she didn't win any of the Emmys, but did win 4 Golden Globes for the role. That's it for this series of very hard questions, which means I just have time to leave you with one final very hard question. Why is it called After Dark when it's really after light? Goodbye.